Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about the absolute titans of the global economy, the world's 10 most valuable companies. Let's jump right in.
So let's just start with a question I bet you've asked yourself before. You know the big names, right? Apple, Google, Facebook, they're all massive. But which one is actually the biggest? The answer? Well, it might just surprise you.
Okay, so before we can even start to rank these companies, we've got to get on the same page. We have to define the rules of the game. What does biggest even mean?
Now, you might think it's all about how much money a company makes in sales, right? Or maybe pure profit? Well, not exactly. The key metric we're going to use, the one that really matters for these rankings, is something called market capitalization, or market cap for short. Basically, it's the total value of all of a company's stock out there on the market. It's what the world thinks a company is worth.
Think of it this way. Revenue and profit are kind of like looking in the rearview mirror. They tell you where a company has been. But market cap, that's like looking at the road ahead. It's all about what investors believe the company is going to do in the future. It's forward-looking.
All right, now that we've got the rules down, let's get to the main event. Who are these titans holding the top spots on the global stage?
At the very, very top, holding that number one spot, is a name that is probably in your pocket or on your desk right now, Apple. And its market cap? It's a number that's kind of hard to even wrap your head around. Get this, $2.65 trillion. So what does that number even mean? Let's try to put it in perspective. Look at India's entire economy, built up over 75 years. Apple, just one company, is worth more than 60% of all of that. It's also the only company on Earth to make over $100 billion in profit in a single year. That is just insane.
So, who's trailing right behind Apple?
Well, at number 2, we've got Saudi Aramco, the absolute giant of the oil world. Then at number 3, an old guard that's still a powerhouse, Microsoft. And rounding out the top 4 is Alphabet. You probably know them better as the parent company of Google. Now, when you look at this list, something really interesting starts to jump out at you. There's a pattern here, and it brings up a really crucial choice for all of us. Have you spotted it yet? That common thread? Just in the top 4, 3 of them are from the USA. And guess what? That trend continues. A whopping 8 of the top 10 most valuable companies in the world are American. I mean, that is just complete dominance. And this is where it gets really interesting for you and me. This incredible concentration of power presents us with a choice. We can either be the customer who just keeps handing them our money, or we can be an investor and have them make money for us. Now, especially if you're watching from outside the US, this is a pretty big deal. Investing in these American giants is a way to diversify your own money into the biggest economy in the world. And it's not like you need a fortune to start either. Thanks to things like fractional shares, you can buy just a small slice of these companies. All right, let's keep going down the list. Let's dig into the rest of the top 10, because each company has a pretty fascinating story. So at number 5, you got Amazon. Kind of crazy, right? It's half the size of Apple in market cap, but it actually brings in more revenue. Then at number 6, we've got the newcomer, Tesla. The youngest company on this whole list started back in 2003. Number 7 is a name investors love, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's legendary company. And at number 8, a company that's been on an absolute tear lately, NVIDIA, thanks to the massive demand for their graphics cards from pretty much everyone. Okay, now for number 9. This is a company you might not know, but you absolutely need to. It's the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or just TSMC. So why is this company so important? Honestly, you could argue it's one of the most important companies on the planet. Why? Because they make the advanced computer chips that power, everything. Your phone, your car, the most advanced military tech, it all runs on TSMC chips. They supply both the US and China, which puts them right at the center of massive geopolitical tension over Taiwan. The whole world's tech supply chain depends on them. And finally, scraping its way onto the list at number 10, we have a company that used to sit much, much higher. Meta, the parent company of Facebook. Yeah, Meta's story is a huge warning. Not that long ago, they were comfortably in the top 5, but their value has absolutely cratered. It's down over 60% in the last year alone. And you know who's largely responsible? Apple, the number 1 company on this list. An Apple privacy update just crushed Meta's advertising business. Honestly,
Their spot in the top 10 is so shaky, they might not even be on it by the time you're watching this.
So we've looked at the titans, the challengers, the ones hanging on by a thread. What's the big lesson here? What's the one thing we should really take away from all this?
Well, let's just look at the big picture again. It's pretty stark, isn't it? 8 of the top 10 are American, 1 from Saudi Arabia, 1 from Taiwan. That is an unbelievable concentration of economic power.
But let's go deeper. It's not just about where they're from. What do all these companies really have in common? Well, they all operate on a mind-boggling scale. Think about it. From the search bar you use every day to the oil that fuels your car, these companies are woven into the very fabric of our daily lives. They aren't just selling products anymore, they've become part of the world's infrastructure. And that really leaves us with one final, pretty powerful thought. Maybe the secret to becoming a truly massive, world-changing company isn't just about having a great product. Maybe the real question is, how many lives can you change? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining me.